Hi AP. Okay, in this video we are going to begin to part write with seventh chords. We'll talk about voicing and voice leading. So when voicing a triad, you'll notice that we have 3 notes with 4 voices. So generally each voice gets a note and one note needs to be doubled. Now when we voice a 7th chord, we realize that there are 4 different notes in a 7th chord, and there are 4 voices. So generally each voice gets a different note, so there is no need to double. So now we're going to practice voicing these 7th chords on my grand staff for SATB. The first one is in D flat major, and we need to voice the 5-7 chord. In other words, the dominant 7th chord. You'll recall that the dominant 7th chord is also the major minor 7th. So my 5 chord in the key of D flat major, the root would be A flat. I need a major triad, which is A flat, C, E flat. There's my 3rd and my 5th. And my 7th in a dominant 7th chord is going to be the interval of a minor 7th from A flat. So I would need to voice a G flat. So that's my dominant 7th chord, my major minor 7th chord in the key of D flat major. And now I can begin to voice. So I can put an A flat in the bass. We notice that it is in root position because of the 7. If it said 5-6-5 or 5-4-3 or 5-4-2, then we would have to have a different note, not the root, be in the bass. Okay, so I'll just use whole notes. Actually, I'll use half notes so we can make sure we do our voicing correctly and show the direction of the stems. So A flat is done. Remember, I do not need to double any tone because we're writing a 7th chord. So now I could plug in different parts where I'd like to. So let's put the G flat here in the tenor. And then I can put an E flat here. In the alto. And I can have the soprano singing a C. And there would be my dominant 7th chord in the key of D flat, my 5-7. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. Notice that I chose open structure. You can certainly play around and put the different notes in different voice parts. But the A flat must remain in the bass because it's a 7th chord in root position. Okay, for my next one, we have a minor key, the key of E minor. So allow me to do the key signature, which you should do as well. I should really do a key signature for the first one, but that's okay. Let's do a key signature for the second one. So I have to build the 5-6-5 of E minor. So again, we are dealing with a dominant 7th. 5 is the dominant in the key of E minor. And this is a capital 5, so we have to make sure that it is going to be major, the triad. Okay, and it looks as if it's in first inversion because we have 6-5. So first, let me figure out the tones needed. So in the key of E, my 5 chord is a B. D, F, A. Now, you recall that dominant 7th chords need a major triad. So B, D sharp, F sharp, which is already in our key signature, and then a minor 7th from root to 7th, which is indeed an A. So I have just supplied the tones needed. Now I'll write an R for root under the B. My third is the D sharp, my fifth is the F sharp, and my seventh is the A. So 6/5 is first inversion, meaning the third will be in the bass. So this note right here will be the bass. Let's put that in right now. And I can put it right here. Okay, I'll need to put an accidental next to that because it's not going to be in our key signature of E minor, the D sharp. And you'll notice that we're using D sharp, indicating that we're using harmonic minor with the raised seventh. Okay, now I can plug in the other voices with the other tones. So I can put the B here for the tenor. That's a good note within their range. I'll need an F sharp. Don't need to put the accidental because I have a key signature. But if I didn't draw the key signature, I'd have to draw an F sharp next to that note. And then I can finally have the sopranos singing the A. So there we have our 5-6-5 in the key of E minor. In this case, E harmonic minor. So hopefully this is making some sense. In the next one, we're back to a major key. We're in the key of A major, and we need the 2 chord. 2, 4, 3, in fact. So first, let's find the 2 chord, okay? It is a minor diatonic chord in the key of A major. So let me first put in my key signature for A major, and you can do the same as well. And let's find the 2 chord in the key of A. So we're looking at a B, D, F sharp, and then since it is a 7th chord, we know because of the 4-3, we'll need to add that 7th. So it's an A. Now, you'll recall that the 2 chords in diatonic major keys are minor 7ths, which means I've got to have a minor triad, which I do right here, and I've got to have a minor 7th, which I do right here. And now I'm ready to build. What goes in the bass? Well, the figured bass says 4-3. 4-3 is second inversion. So when we deal with second inversion, the 5th is in the bass. So I'm going to put my F sharp, which is my 5th, right here for the basses to sing. And I can put a check because I'm done with the F sharp. Now I can supply the tones for the other voices, and I have flexibility here. So let's go ahead and put the D here for the tenors. And the altos can sing the A, and the sopranos could sing the B. If I didn't like that, there's certainly some other ways you can do it, but you definitely need the F sharp, which is the 5th, in the bass. You could change things up. Let's do this. Let's put the B there. We can put the D here and the A here if we like. That's another option. 4 different tones for the 7th chord. Nothing is doubled. And there are even other ways to do this, but those are just 2 examples. Okay, moving on to a minor key, the key of D minor. I have to build the 7 diminished 4-2. Now, more often than not, we're going to be using harmonic minor in these minor keys. And sometimes you'll see in parentheses an H, which is a reminder that they do indeed want you to use the harmonic minor form. So for all intents and purposes, we are going to be using harmonic minor when dealing with these minor keys. With that said, harmonic minor has a raised leading tone. So our root of this 7 chord in the key of D minor then would be C sharp. And then we can just plug in the other tones to complete the 7th chord. And we have a fully diminished 4-2. Why is it fully diminished? Well, because we just have the diminished circle. We're not looking at a slash through it. If there was a slash through it, we'd have to build a 7 half diminished 4-2. But this is a 7 fully diminished 4-2. So that means we need minor thirds from the root to the third, check. From the third to the fifth, check. And from the 5th to the 7th, we have to make it minor to make it fully diminished. So I added a B flat. I can put in my key signature, D minor. So we have a B flat in our key signature. Now we need to realize that this is not in root position because of the 4-2. So this happens to be a 7th chord that is in 3rd inversion, meaning the 7th is in the bass. So what is the 7th of this triad, of this 7th chord? The B flat. So we'll put the B flat right there for the basses to sing. Now we can realize that we need to put the C sharp, the E, and the G in. We could also, if we're still confused as to how we got the C sharp, E, and G, what we can do is travel up from the lowest note, which is a B flat. A 4th above that would give us an E, and a 2nd above that would give us the C sharp for harmonic minor. So now I can plug in my other tones where I feel I want them to go. So I've used the G in the tenor. I still have the E, which I can put in the alto. And finally, the root can be sung by the sopranos. And I have to make sure to include that sharp sign because of harmonic minor. There are other ways to do this as well. We could do that. We could even have the tenor singing the root. And we could have the altos singing the 3rd. And we can have the sopranos singing the 5th. And even more ways. It goes on and on. So these are some ways to voice these 7th chords. What you really have to be careful and remember is that when we're in minor, let's stick with harmonic minor and watch the figured bass numbers very carefully so you know whether or not to write a 7th chord in root position if there's a 7, 1st inversion if there's a 6-5, 2nd inversion if there's a 4-3, and 3rd inversion if there's a 4-2. Also, double check your quality with your Roman numerals as well. And if you're writing a diminished in the last chord, for example, make sure to include the diminished sign. And if it's half diminished, the slash through the circle. So these are all little things we need to remember. Also, if you don't have a key signature, remember that you need to alter some notes and provide accidentals next to certain notes. And even if you do have a key signature, like in the last example, make sure to raise the 7th if we're in minor. So now, you can pause the video if we need to talk about this more, but we're going to proceed on to the next frame, where I would like you to try to voice these 7th chords. So let's just talk about it really quick. The first one is A major. We want the 5-7, which is the major minor 7th, also known as the dominant 7th. So that's a root position. The next one we have D minor, and we're going to use the harmonic form. And we have a capital 5, 6, 5. So that's going to be a 7th chord in first inversion. Then we have C major. We need to find the 2, 4, 3 of C major. So this is going to be a minor 7th chord in second inversion. And lastly, we have E minor, and we're looking to build, let's do harmonic, we're looking to build the 7 diminished 4-2 in E minor. 4-2 indicating third inversion. So let's use key signatures. Put them in now. And begin to voice these 7th chords, and we'll come back in a little while to share our responses and make sure that we have the correct tones and the correct note in the bass. Be very careful with your inversions. Good luck, AP. As you are working, I'm going to start my work. So you can look up occasionally to see how you're doing and to check me. Okay, so let's check our work and see how I did and see how you did. I wrote each one 2 different ways so you can see how it's done. Of course, you still want to remember we're not voice leading yet, where we're going from chord to chord. That's coming soon. We're just simply part writing. So for part writing, you still need to remember, think vertically, and remember that you need no more than an octave between your upper voices and things like that. No voice crossing, okay? And maybe you came up with some of these as your response, or maybe some additional ones. But the main thing that we should be concerned about is that we're actually spelling the 7th chords correctly. So for the A major, we should have an E, G sharp, B, D. For the D minor, our 5-6-5 chord, we're looking at from root to 7th, A, C sharp, E, G, with a C sharp in the bass because it's first inversion, so the 3rd's in the bass. In C major, we need a minor 7th chord, that's a 2, minor 2, 4, 3 in 2nd inversion, with an A in the bass, and the chord tones should be D, F, A, C. And finally, E harmonic minor, the 7 diminished 4, 2, that's 3rd inversion, with the 7th chord tones being D sharp, F sharp, A, C. So you can see my work is laid out where I've labeled all of the tones, and I've put the quality of the triad from root to 5th, as well as the quality of the interval from root to 7th to help me realize the correct tones. That's going to be all for this video, AP. If you need to watch this again at home for practice voicing 7th chords, please do so. The next video will be all about voice leading with the dominant 7th chord. So until then, have a great day, AP. Thanks for watching.